Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez looks like she is gearing up for a 2028 presidential candidacy. She's currently campaigning to fight the oligarchy right now, drawing in to her credit crowds of 10, 20, 30,000, mostly white college students, but still, she is drawing crowds in these states that she's going to. So I jokingly the other day made a YouTube short making fun of this, stating that she has found a new strategy to win the presidency in 2028 and pointing to the fact that she tends to switch her accent up on the spot.
Of course he's lying and abusing and manipulating the stock market too.
Like some of her other female politician predecessors, Kamala Harris.
You better thank a union member.
And Hillary Clinton.
Kiki's Chicken and Waffles, which I highly recommend.
This, of course, was received well by my Republican and MAGA viewers. They thought it was funny. They noticed the accent. However, it really triggered the liberals, and I am so surprised at how sensitive they are and triggered by this. I thought that this would be taken in great humor, but no, they proceeded to leave a bunch of comments like, "She's fearless and truthful. Never mind the accent. The point is, she's well understood and fact-checked." Or this one, "He mocks the accent, when in reality, what he's channeling is his own fear in that her economic populism message will work. It's how Trump managed to get affected by focusing on economics and sounding like a populist, when in reality he was masquerading the whole time to serve his own economic class, the millionaires and billionaires." You mean millionaires like AOC and Bernie? This is all you guys got, is her speech? Her inflections? What you MAGA need to try harder. Reach, MAGA, reach. Or how about this one? "You have to watch all her videos, pal. She's consistently good in rallying people and speaking the truth, just like how consistent Trump is with his bigotry, hypocrisy, and stupidity." And finally, I got comments like this as well. "You're focused on accents and not the things she's saying. What's wrong with you? Wake up, wake up. Please." Well, Daniel Garcia-VX7HN, I am awakened. Trust me. I've unfortunately had the privilege of watching AOC at length. Why did I even call it a privilege? It's not. It's a curse, but I've done it anyway. And I was originally going to do a video titled 3 Main Reasons Why Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez Cannot Win the Presidency in 2028. However, I've decided that the first reason why deserves a video in and of itself, so let's cover that right now, right here on American Advocates. And let's waste little time here. The main reason why AOC will not win the presidency in 2028 is because of the Green New Deal, straight up. I mean, this is a ridiculous deal, and it was laughed at as soon as it was proposed. And while she managed to sucker in something like 67 of her fellow Democrat politicians to vote in favor of it when Mitch McConnell proposed the vote, it still wound up alienating part of the Democrat Party even back when it was proposed years ago. And these are some of the reasons why. Take a look at this.
2 days before this press conference, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez posted a Green New Deal FAQ segment on her website, referencing the alleged 10 years that mankind has to save the earth. The post said, quote,
look at this. This is real. This is real. And they deleted this stuff so fast. But this was literally in the frequently asked questions on her website, quote for quote. "We aren't sure that we'll be able to fully get rid of farting cows and airplanes that fast." Okay, let's keep going.
"We aren't sure that we'll be able to fully get rid of farting cows and airplanes that fast." It also promised, quote, "economic security for all unable or unwilling to work." A torrent.
Unwilling to work. Unwilling. That's the reason why she's mostly attracting white college kids age 18 to 26, because they've just gone through college, they just got educated, brainwashed basically, and they've just received a degree in liberal arts or some woke ideology nonsense, or literally just some field that's a complete waste of time that basically doesn't even exist in real life. And they get out into the real world, and where do they wind up working? At a department store? They wind up working at a fast food restaurant? Or maybe, if they're good enough, they work as a waiter or waitress, and they make some decent money serving tables at a fancy or nice restaurant. But the point being is, their degree is useless, they can't get a job in the fields that they studied, and they wind up taking on the philosophy that life is meaningless, because of course they went to school and studied something meaningless that doesn't exist. So why would they want to work? They don't. But that's also a youth problem, and a lot of them wind up growing out of that. That's going to be the main issue. She's very popular with young kids who are entering the big bad world and everything seems so unfair to them. But where is her results when it comes to demographics and people age 30 to 45 or age 45 to 60? It's abysmal.
Of ridicule followed.
Well, if the Green New Deal took hold, I think our grid would stop.
It sounds like a high school term paper that got a low mark.
Within hours, Ocasio-Cortez's office deleted the FAQ from her website.
Yeah.
The following Saturday, her chief of staff tweeted it was an early draft posted by mistake.
Yeah, so they want you to think it was just a rough draft, right? Well, we would never mention farting cows in the official one. We just put that in there because that's one of the main issues. First of all, it's not. Second of all, it's a very good example of what we're dealing with when it comes to someone like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Now, I also want to show you this brief clip of Charlie Kirk back then talking about the problem here too, because he also brings up a good point. Take a look at this.
Reduces air travel significantly, and even the senator from Hawaii, who's quite left, laughed at the idea of the Green New Deal and the stance on air travel.
Of course.
Look, I can't figure out who likes this deal more, Mitch McConnell or AOC. I mean, he looked almost giddy to get people on the record about this. And it's somewhat laughable, but at the same time, I find it kind of scary.
Exactly right. And here's the thing. He brings up the idea of air travel being heavily restricted. First of all, AOC's a hypocrite. She has been spotted boarding private jets very recently. After campaigning to fight the oligarchy, her and Bernie Sanders got on a private jet, sipped champagne, and flew to their next location. Just blatant hypocrisy. There's a reason why they call these people champagne socialists. They want to take away your ability to do all these things because it's hurting the environment. But you see, in their minds, it makes complete sense that they're the special exception. They're in powerful positions. In her own words, she's even said this. Well, I flew to this location because I have constituents that are depending on me arriving to my destination in a timely manner. Okay, AOC, so you get to fly wherever you need to go because time is of the essence. But under your idea with the Green New Deal, everyone else needs to not be flying anymore. And he brings up how the Hawaiian senator laughed at it despite him being Democrat. Yeah, can you imagine a scenario where that Hawaiian senator needs to travel to Washington, D.C. from Hawaii and flying is restricted? From Hawaii? Okay, he's got to take a boat. Well, look I've done the research. How long does it take to travel by boat from Hawaii to the American mainland? And that's assuming, Hawaii to California to keep it as quick as possible. 5 days to 4 weeks. Reasonably, 5 to 7 days. So it would take a Hawaiian senator a week to travel by boat in order to not fly under this Green New Deal restrictions, just to get to the mainland. And then from there, the boat anchors in California. Now he needs to drive from California to Washington, D.C. Not flying, mind you, because flying is bad. Well, it's 41 hours from California to Washington, D.C., and that's assuming no breaks. You obviously would need to take breaks to eat, sleep, etc. Let's assume another 16 to 20 hours for all of that. So we're looking at almost 3 days more. So if the senator needs to get from Hawaii to Washington, D.C. and he can't fly, he's looking at essentially a 10 to 12 day trip just to get there. That's insane. And that's just one example of what's wrong with this. But it gets better because Tucker Carlson summarized who AOC is, in my opinion, in this video right here.
So not only dumb and totally ignorant of everything, but utterly self-assured. If there were a clinical exam for self-esteem, she'd be in the 100th percentile. How do people get like that? Is it our education system? Is
Yes.
it high schools?
Yes.
Is it colleges? We wanted
Yes.
to talk to someone on the front lines of this who might know the answer. Nicholas Giordano is a professor of political science at Suffolk Community College, and he joins us tonight. Professor, thanks very much for coming on.
Hi, Tucker.
So there's a certain recognizable syndrome here where the people who know the least are the most self-confident. Where does that come from?
Well, it's the lack of critical thinking that exists. It's
Yes.
the superficial arguments they make that are completely unrealistic.
Yes, it is. It comes down to our schooling system. AOC is, in my mind, the typical college-educated woman in America. She just peddles these preposterous fantasies onto America about how we can be such a better place and how we need to just stop flying, stop cows from farting, reduce our travel, rebuild every building in America up to a more modern day code that's friendlier for the environment. Do you know how ridiculous that is? That's part of the Green New Deal. It takes sometimes decades to rebuild some of these buildings she's talking about. But there she is claiming that the world only has 10 years at most. And so her goal is to rebuild these buildings inside of 10 years. And it's just all of them, all at once.
If you look at the Green New Deal, it's incomprehensible. And when you're looking at it, she says the world's going to end in 12 years. So
okay, 12.
If we go with this plan and have to rebuild every building, it took us 13 years just to build the Freedom Tower, for instance. 6 years to build the Tappan Zee Bridge. Imagine having to do every single building in the United States up to new codes. It's just not going to work.
Ridiculous. And not to mention cost.
They don't ask deep questions. The arguments are, it sounds good.
Yeah, he's not even talking about cost. The cost is a huge problem. When it comes to the cost, the estimated cost of what this Green New Deal proposal from her would wind up putting America back by, it's $93 to $97 trillion. And just for reference, that's like 3 times more than our current national debt. She would quite literally sink America by implementing this deal. Even trying to implement this deal would sink America. Because some of the Democrats out there are like, well, we should at least try it, see if it works. No, we shouldn't. Because even trying it would be so costly and set America back so far economically that literally it would allow China to usurp our economy the way that they want to. And that's a very dangerous scenario to be in and of itself. Not to mention, it doesn't work. Canada has the carbon tax already implemented. Their citizens that aren't completely brainwashed liberals up there hate it. So much so that their Republican candidate, Pierre Poilievre, or whatever his name is, keeps calling for carbon election taxes.
His best solution is to hike the tax on their heat, on their homes, on their fuel, on their food. If he really believes in it, why doesn't he call a carbon tax election now?
Because of how widely unpopular and how destructive it is to the Canadian citizens. They're now taxed at such a rate where they're forking over way more than half of their earnings because of carbon tax. They're taxing their citizens just because they breathe out, basically. Insane. Absolutely insane. And for this reason alone, the fact that it would up our national debt to somewhere around 120 to 130 trillion total dollars after this was implemented, if it was pulled off completely. That fact alone is why she will not be the president in 2028. She can't even win over part of her own Democrat Party, let alone moderates or independents. They're not going to go for that at all. And Republicans, not a chance. She's only winning over predominantly white 18 to 26-year-old college kids. That's her demographic. And yes, they show up because she's giving speeches with Bernie Sanders at Coachella and concerts. That they're there. Yes, they are. And some of them genuinely like her. The comment under my YouTube short proves it. There are people that genuinely like her. Is it because they hate Trump more? I don't know. But yes, she is popular with the youth. That is not enough. And on top of that, youth demographics are showing more and more, especially when it comes to Gen Z men, that they are leaning more conservative in time. And that's a whole different topic for a whole different video. But I don't even have faith in her completely winning over the youth demographic, despite her being popular in that currently. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. I will be putting out more videos in the future, likely more videos about how AOC can't win the presidency in 2028, because I went into the details in depth, just like the comments from the liberals on my YouTube short asked me to, but there's a lot more to discuss when it comes to her. The Green New Deal might have been one of the worst topics to discuss, but she has even worse ones and plenty of bad ones to go over as well. I will likely make a video in the future that goes over 3 or maybe even 5 reasons why she will not be the president in 2028. But rest assured, the point of this video is JD Vance is not sweating AOC.